Yes, for the past few weeks, the Electoral Act Amendment Bill has been on the news. And of course, you've had issues, the Senate, the House of Reps having to reconvene to look into it, to ensure that they come up with something that will aid INEC to plan ahead of the 2027 general elections. And of course, right now, what we have is the passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill just this Tuesday by the National Assembly. And so this is Midweek Connect on Nta Benin, and this will be a focal point of discussion in this week's edition, looking at matters arising from this particular bill that has been passed by the National Assembly. Welcome on board. I am Udwakobong Achibong, and of course not just me alone, with Ifoma Okafu as usual. Ifoma, welcome.
Udwak, welcome back. You know, you just came back from your leave, and this is the first time we are after your leave.
Months, yes, coming together.
Exactly.
So it's a nice
yes, this is a very interesting topic.
Of course, know the nation, how the nation has been.
Exactly, very controversial, and it's very important that this bill is really pursued, because talking about integrity when it comes to electoral processes, it will give voters, the credibility, to have credibility, to now have confidence in electoral process in Nigeria. So it's very important.
Let's see how it goes. But before we do that, I think let's just go on a break. We'll be back shortly. Please stay.
Otherwise known as a worker.
This is Health Plus. Today, searchlight on universal healthcare. What does it mean?
Diphtheria is a vaccine-preventable disease. It is highly fatal.
It's good to sing praise unto our God, for it is pleasant and praise is comely.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode on Youth Arena. I can't wait to hear what you guys have in store for us today. Some of you might have experienced it.
Yes, this Midweek Connect on Nta Benin. Before we went on that break, we're trying to lay the foundation for what our discussion will look like this morning, expecting our guest to join us. And right now here we have the guest here in the studio who will be doing justice to what we have for you today. And I'm talking about a former local government chairman, former chief of staff to Edo State government, a lecturer and a political scientist, Isaiah Osifo.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
He's a political giant.
Of course. All right, but before we go into that discussion, I think we have a backgrounder. Let's take a watch.
The approved amendment requires presiding officers at polling units to electronically transmit results to the IREF portal after completing, signing, and stamping Form EC8A. However, if electronic transmission is disrupted due to network or communication challenges, the manually completed EC8A form will serve as the primary basis for collation and declaration of results. Some persons interviewed said, with the era of digitization and technology in place, both processes will create more confusion and loopholes for manipulation.
We only need electronic voting.
Why? What is the reason?
That will give us the correct voting. We see what we vote for.
There is no reason why anywhere there's network, you have voted, why you shouldn't immediately send it
forward rather than waiting for another place, taking it to another place manually, where it could be manipulated or even changed on the road.
The technology is growing. There is a technological advancement everywhere, so people can easily follow up, even online, what is going on.
Others sees the policy as a victory for transparency and electoral reforms, rapid result dissemination, and minimizing human errors.
So it's a good thing. That will remove the election malpractice and every other thing. So it is very, very good. It will also help the court in determining their judgment, to give right judgment, free and fair judgment.
We have tried manual before. Maybe it's not working for us now. So we should try the other side.
As much as possible, they should do their best. Not just for the integrity of the election, not just for the confidence of the people, but for posterity.
Others say adequate infrastructure, training of personnel, and planning are essential for smooth election. In Benin, Bukola Urubusi, NTA News.
Yes, thank you for Bukola for that backgrounder. Yes, sir, we are here with the discussion. From what we've had here as a backgrounder, the bill has been passed by the National Assembly, and of course we know what characterized the whole plenary, both at the House of Reps and the National and the Senate. But we wouldn't have to look into all that. We're looking at the issue on ground right now. From your observation, what can you say about this bill that has just been passed?
Well, thank you so much. In a democracy all over the world, the essence is to give the decision of political authority to the citizens of the country, a sovereign nation. Everybody cannot be in the parliament. Everybody cannot be in the government house. Therefore, for you to be functioning on behalf of the people, persons have to come together to give you the authority. And that decision comes by way of election. It's a process. And those who are going to determine your position in government are interested in the credibility of the process. So the whole controversy about transmission of election results, the House of Rep version that they pass is different from that of the Senate, and the respondents from the various parts of the country, or the reactions to what has happened, all this is as a result of lack of confidence in the system. And I want to appeal to those that are in government, those that are in authority, whether executive or legislative arm of government, that people are saying we no longer have confidence in the system. And they have the right to say so, because it is their legitimate right to determine those who should govern them. So if I'm to employ you, then I must set the criteria that will qualify you to be my staff, because they are workers to the citizens. They are staff employed by the citizens. So the citizens have to set the criteria that they should meet before they are employed to be in the parliament or as president or as governor, as it gets to be. Now, where is this lack of confidence coming from? Historically speaking, there was a time in this country whereby there was open ballot system, no voters register, no ballot papers. People came to the polling unit, did instant accreditation by way of writing your name and then asking you to wait for maybe a period of 1-2 hours. That is done, and they asked them to queue on the line, and it was transparent. There was no complaint. Professor M.A. Awa did that in this country. Have they forgotten that we had open ballot system that was credible, that was free and without controversy, because there was credibility in the process? Then my professor, my lecturer, Professor Humphrey Wonsu, came after M.A. Awa. Both of them were Osuka professor. I went to UNN. I studied political science. They were my teachers. Now, Wonsu came and then improved on the existing platform M.A. Awa laid. But there was a kind of review as to say, okay, if you make it open ballot system, how would the traditional rulers vote? It is not good for people to know who the traditional ruler voted for, because it's the owner of the community. Yes, how will the bishop vote? The bishop of the Anglican Church or the Catholic or whatever? It is not good. It will be too partisan. So let's give them some kind of secrecy. They now came with open, modified open ballot system. And what is modified open ballot system? Now we have a voters register. You go to the polling unit. you are accredited, you vote in secrecy, you're no longer queuing on the line, then your papers are dropped on the ballot box, and right there in your presence they are counted, results are declared. So Professor Wosu did a fantastic election that culminated into the conduct of the 1993 presidential election, which tomorrow has been adjudged as the freest and fairest election in the history of Nigeria.
I want to remind our viewers that it's a phone-in program, and you can call in to share your thoughts and contribute to the program. The number to call is 0703-695-7086. 0703-695-7086. Ifoma, what's the other number?
081-090-42594. 081-090-42594. And when you're calling, please step away from your TV set so that we can hear you clearly, and also be civil. It's not war. It's just you can say your opinion or your advice on what we are discussing.
All right, thank you. Let's look at this issue of the bill. Yeah. Part of it is that it was an issue concerning the clause 60.
Okay.
3.
Yeah.
Now, the people were like demanding, let it just be e-transmission of results.
Yeah.
But Senate has come up to say, no, it wouldn't just be e-transmission. We are also bringing in the manual. And even the e-transmission, where there is maybe power failure, communication failure and all that, they can still fall back to the manual as the primary source for transmission of results. How do you see it? Bringing it to tally with the demands of the people and what Senate has just brought up now?
Yes, that's why it is always important to lay a foundation.
Yeah, I think he was trying to.
That's why I'm a teacher. So before I would jump into e-transition, you must have a background to any situation. That historically we'll be having free and fair election even without e-transmission. Now, why people are agitating for e-transmission? You must look at the political history that is behind it. Now, there's been an improvement in the electoral process. PVC, we didn't have a PVC, permanent voters card. Now the voter register is now an electronic register.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have beavers.
Yeah.
People are not still satisfied. They are now saying they want e-transmission of results. Because historically speaking, for this background, people have been dissatisfied with the processes. So essentially, the Senate should know, the government should know, and they should know that Nigerians are no longer having confidence in the electoral process, and that is why they are insisting on e-transmission. Now, e-transmission is a simple technology. It's a very, very simple technology. I was a P&T staff and later knighted in the Nigerian telecommunication industry. Okay. I was in the telegraph. Okay. Now, the communication process from one end to the other has equally been improving, just like the ANEC process. We have more sender, we have telegraphy sender, we have there was a time in this country people go to international call center to make international call. Yes. But today you can in your room with your cell phone and call any part of the world. The same thing is e-transmission. Let nobody give you the impression that e-transmission is a rocket science, because it can be done with satellite communication. Oh, I hear their argument. We don't have network in a particular community. It's a remote community. For the past 30 years, on my own knowledge, we have been having satellite phone in this country. That is to say, there is a telephone by Starlink that you can call any person from any part of Nigeria. I used it as chairman of council, and I left council about 22 years ago. I had a satellite telephone at a hall. There was no GSM, no MTN there. I can stay in a hall and make my calls with my satellite telephone. Then there was no network. Now, these satellite communication companies are all over the world, and they have offices and operators in Nigeria. So what I expected Senate to have done is to call for the budget. Nigerians are asking for it. It is possible. It is not impossible.
Okay.
But let us only talk about the cost. What will it cost us to achieve on time, real-time, online transmission of results from the about 177,000 polling units in Nigeria? I think in a civilized country, a country that is really ready to develop, we should be asking for the cost, not to say it is impossible.
Because
it is very possible.
Even the Guinea, Mike Guinea, that
Yes.
was once in INEC,
Yes.
said that there was a time INEC had a meeting with NCC,
Yeah.
and they came up with this data that 93% across the communities in the country have access to this network as they are talking about.
Yeah.
And that as at 2018,
Yeah.
INEC said they are ready for e-transmission.
Yes.
So why this issue of in 2025,
Yeah.
we are now seeing e-transmission as something impossible?
You see, again, that is the issue of confidence. And I expect people can just make name by simple decision. I was in government. I left council about 20-something years ago. People talk about what I did when I was here, not what I have now. You can make a name in the Senate, in the government of Nigeria, by giving Nigerians the foundation for a credible election. Let me tell you, a free election that is free and fair is for everybody. Election that is rigged is for the enemies of the nation. Okay? And people argue that dictatorship is better than rigged election. If I don't elect you, don't preside over me. It's elect a dictator take over. Okay? So free and fair election is an inalienable right. It's a fundamental right of the citizens that what they vote is what we can't. It has no compromise. You're not doing them a favor. If you don't have the ability to do it, then you get out of that place. Because nobody's begging you. It's not a favor for them.
Okay, Dr. Osifo.
Yes.
Yeah. Even from the background, excuse me.
Yeah.
Everybody, we're all Nigerians. Everybody is looking forward to this electronic transmission for credibility and to also improve on the confidence that voters have in the system. So my question now is, what do you think? The way Nigerians are agitating for it, holistically. Yeah. So why do you think the government is now withdrawing or dragging its feet? Seeing this as a hoax, that's something that is a rocket science. So in your own opinion, because they raised some issues on communication and just like we said, maybe internet connectivity. So all these issues and theories, emanating from it all this while, why do you think the government is trying to hold back? What, in your own opinion, why?
Okay, two things that are very important.
Because they have a series of problems that they didn't just say, okay, no electronic transmission. Yeah. They have their reasons for that. Okay. So are you seeing those reasons as wax?
Okay, two things that are very important for the citizens to know. Democracy can fight corruption.
Okay.
If you have democracy, elections are free and fair, corruption will be reduced. Secondly, corruption can destroy democracy. So what you have is corruption. Now, if you want to fight corruption, like our friend Peter B will say, if I'm not involved, my wife is not involved, my son is not involved, there will not be corruption. So this is a challenge and advice to the government of Nigeria. If the president is not corrupt, his wife is not corrupt, his son is not corrupt, the Senate president is not corrupt, his wife is not corrupt, the children are not corrupt, same for the speaker, same for governors, same for local government chairman, then nobody will argue against e-transmission. Because it's corruption. Because you can't tell me, look, in the 80s, I was in 90. I know that this thing is possible. About 20 years ago, I was a local government chairman. I was using satellite telephone when there was no yet GSM in Nigeria. And as I speak to you, security agencies, okay, let's not go into the question of security, but let me tell you that you cannot even have efficient security network in the country if there's any particular part of the country that you cannot communicate from. I don't know if I'm making a point.
Okay, so trying to open up some.
Yeah, you cannot. Yes, if military people or underground operators like the DSS or everybody they are in operations, are you not going to tell them that they will be in a particular location in anywhere in Nigeria and they will not be able to communicate? I mean, are we kidding here? If the immigration officers are working, they try to fish out illegal immigrants in remote part of the country, are you saying these immigration officers that are working will not be able to communicate from where they are, their particular location? So there is no part of Nigeria that you cannot call from, but there is a technology. Forget about FTL. Let those technology fail. But I'm saying an impeccable, perfect, excellent technology that is in
On
operation
ground.
that you can watch. So what they should be talking about, my dear sister, it's not about holding back. They should tell Nigerians about the cost. Can we afford it? Do you know what I'm saying? It is possible, yes, but this is what it's going to cost us.
So you kept on saying cost.
Yes,
Is it that it's very expensive?
It is not very expensive.
Because looking at the time frame, the election is coming.
It is not
February
very. Let me
next
tell
year.
you, the infrastructure is already in the orbit.
Okay.
It's in the cloud. What they don't need is the walkie-talkie or the look like a telephone and all that they will need to provide, and if you configure it that anywhere you are in Nigeria, before, during, and after election, you can communicate to the INEC result viewing portal, the RF.
Doc, that's well a follow-up question to that, because Nigeria is more than 200 million people.
Yeah.
And almost half of it are voters.
Okay.
So, are you not considering the issue of the volume of voters? Talking about this electronics, anything can happen.
Yeah.
It can fail due to the volume of this data. So, how do you see it?
No, the people right now, Nigerians are not asking for electronic voting. They are asking for electronic transmission. Let me tell you what you need. You have about 177,000 polling units. Maybe by the time they now do this new registration, at most maybe let's say 200,000 polling units. It is so infinitesimal. It is so small. We're going to have just 200,000 centers linking to the central portal
at the same time.
Yes, simultaneously, like you're using a fast.
And there won't be any hitches.
If you have a center that you're going to send a message to, sometimes most of these international jobs, they advertise and say send your documents via fax or via email. We have about 5-10 million people faxing their document to that center at a particular point, the same time. Send your email. Most of these interviews are not done online. So, download your document or upload your document, put it in a PDF format, and send to over 10 million people will be accessing that portal.
And there will not be any glitch.
There will not be any glitch. There will not be any glitch.
So what we are saying is that probably what is the fear in this situation? Because you see that even the real time the people are seeking for has been removed. They said, when I tried to ask about this real time, I said something that at the end of the day, when it's being snapped and all that, it's being sent to the IRF so that people to know this was the particular time. This real time thing is really scrapped, and people are like, what are they fearing?
You see, that real time.
People make calls, people use and all that. In the villages, there are POS and all that. People are arguing so many things. Why this particular...
That real time was just because of this anxiety, this lack of confidence. You don't even need to pull real time. Electronic transmission is enough. At the end of the election, the presiding officer entered all the results, the agent signed, and you bring out the infrastructure, just like a telephone. You write the figure of the different party, and you forward it. It's like a fax. To a central point. Even if all of them, the 200,000 polling units, they are doing it the same minute, they won't deliver.
I think somebody is calling.
Let's see if that's a caller. Hello. Good morning.
I'm the guest on set. My name is Daniel. I'm calling from Benin.
All right.
I want to appreciate the guest for his eloquency and his way of attending to the question. It's just looking at it from my own direction of thought. It's a shame that at this time, when nations are embarking on e-voting, electronic voting, Nigeria is still fighting or talking about electronic transmission of results. Like the guest said, you can use satellite to transmit from anywhere in the world. But you see, when the government want to create a loophole for them to reach, they will start giving different excuses. Same thing happened in the last election, and they want to repeat the same thing. Well, I want to say this, that Nigerians want e-transmission of this result, and the politicians in the House of Senate, they don't have any excuse to not to heed to what Nigerians need. For me, transmission of that result with satellite communication is not the rocket science. It's doable from anywhere in the country. So that excuse of having glitches or communication issues should not be allowed or should not be championed by the House of Senate or the House of Reps, because it's just kind of telling the world that we are the country, we are not just a third world country, a fourth world country. So I don't buy into that. The Senate and the House of Reps should do better than what they are doing now if they want credible elections for Nigerians. And that is what Nigerians are clamoring for, a credible, transparent election. Because you can't bring people into power when they don't go through the right process. So that we can move forward, we can move forward in the round. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel. You heard what people are looking for. Like what we had in the report. You said, we've had this way for a long time.
Yes.
Why don't we try something new?
Yes.
And what we are seeing at the National Assembly is more or less like, let's hear or the manual. E-electronic is not as the people want it.
What Mr. Daniel said, they are not doing Nigerians a favor. It is their right. Let nobody sit down, Senate President, whoever. Look, you're not doing anybody a favor. It is their right to demand for a credible election. And I say in the evolutionary process, we've reached a stage now, based on the lapses of the past, that we want a transmission. What the Senate should be talking, or the National Assembly should be talking, is the cost, and it is affordable. Let me tell you, the infrastructure is like this solar phone now, solar panels. You don't have solar panel for 10,000 naira that can charge your phone for 24 hours. They make it big, impossible. Electricity is not possible. Some solar panels of 10,000 naira can give 2-3 bulbs so now in all the polling units of about 200,000, what are they going to spend to provide the power, the infrastructure, and everything? Put the cost together. Let Nigerians know. I've done my analysis. I've looked at it. It's less than 100 billion. And the NHS chairman presented a budget of about 1 trillion naira. No breakdown. I mean, what are we doing in this country? What's going on?
Let me ask you.
What's going on?
Later, because we are pressed for, I think there are other issues that we raised in this particular bill.
Yeah.
And we are looking at, INEC had last week given us a timetable.
Yeah.
20th February.
Yeah.
For presidential and National Assembly.
Yeah.
And then March 6th for Houses of Assembly and Governorship.
Yeah.
But right now it has changed, because I think based on public calls and all that, the National Assembly now says it is no more 360 days notice of election timeline. It's now reduced to 300.
Okay.
So it's now going to give INEC that particular timetable by now. I think it's invalid.
Okay.
If you want
It's
to
because of the Ramadan.
Because of the Ramadan and all that, religious observance and all that.
Okay.
And when you look at it, was it really necessary to consider this? Mean that this timeline has always been in existence, and right now we have come up with a new timeline for election, which now gives the flexibility that election will be conducted between December 2026 and January 2027.
Yeah, you see, the flexibility is not a harm. That's just internal bureaucracy of INEC. All these details, Nigerians are really not interested. If you like, you give them 1 week notice. Nigerians are ready to come out to go and vote. What they are interested in is the credibility of the process.
Okay.
INEC, you presented a budget of about 1 trillion naira, and you say you can't give us 8 transmission.
Okay, like he said that INEC is silent in this matter.
Yeah, they are really.
Everybody is talking. They are the ones that
INEC is silent.
Why are they not talking about this issue?
INEC cannot talk because they are public servants.
Okay.
They are bureaucrats. They should be seen and they should not be heard.
Okay.
It is the parliament that is the parliament of the people that will tell INEC, this is how you are going to work for the people. That's why it is called a law. It is the parliament that will tell INEC, these are the modalities you are going to adopt to work, to serve the people. So INEC doesn't have any issue with us now. Doesn't have anything with Nigeria. Those who were elected to the National Assembly, to the state National Assembly, are now the real problems of democracy in Nigeria. So I appeal to my friends in Senate. My friends are there. He was in NAS when I was in NAS. He was in Unibe here. He's the Senate majority leader. I listened to his argument. It's very laughable. But you were NAS president in Unibe, the fourth military government. You are not against democracy. I've spoken to them. I've written to them. But even if you spend 1 year in Senate and go home, is it? Are you going to die? I left government for how many years? I teach university, I go to farm. If I'm still involved in politics, it's not because I want to be a governor, I must be a president. I want my country to be good for my children and for my grandchildren. It is not an achievement that everybody is exiting and you remain in a foreign land forever. That's not an achievement. The achievement is that you get retired, you go to your country home, you stay in your community, you enjoy the fruits, you enjoy the atmosphere, your children are working, they come home on holiday and festival. That's the real life. Not everybody sending his child to America, Britain, and they're going to be there forever. That's failure.
Okay, Doc.
That's failure.
Dr. Sifo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about this, I don't want to still go back to how about the issue of hacking the system.
Yeah.
I'm not a tech engineer, so I wouldn't know about that. But I know something like that can also happen. Hacking it, you never can tell. But the issue I want to bring up is the Senate, yes, the House of Rep. The minority leader, minority in the houses of the two houses, most of them stepped out. They walked out when these debates were going on this electronic transmission. And when they came back to the committee of the whole, the Senate president, had to commend them. That what they're fighting for is also what Nigerians are fighting for. That he commended them for their, dogged spirit, working out, that all of them is not to undermine democracy, but to uphold it. So how do you look at it? Trying to, everybody is not, in as much as they say they are against it, but inside of them, they also know that it is very important when you talk about democracy.
Yes. You see, one thing about active politicians, you don't need to be trained as a lawyer, as a political scientist to know that politics is about social contract.
Yeah, of course.
You are entering into an agreement, a contractual agreement with the people. When you elect me, I will go there and act on your behalf. So I don't see where the argument is coming from. If you were truly elected as a senator, you were truly elected as a member of the House of Representatives, and your constituents are telling you we want e-transmission, where is the agreement coming from? So in a democracy, John Locke's theory of social contract is a universal phenomenon that is known to everybody. Yes. That you are just there hired by the people, and it is a contract you must keep with them. And that was gives you
legitimacy. Is it that they are having pressure because the way the Senate president, the way you were talking, it will not be as if they still
democracy will fight corruption. Corruption can destroy democracy. What we have here is corruption. The system is corrupt. Let's put it bluntly. No need to be vulgar. Don't need to insult any person. I mean, the system is corrupt, and the major recipe to fighting corruption is a credible process of election, so that the people who are in the parliament are elected by the people. You cannot be a governor by phony and fraudulent means. You were governor of a state, you were truly elected by the people. And that's why I've been advocating for autonomy of local government. The local government system has been destroyed in Nigeria. In our time, for you to be elected as council chairman, like you are contesting a governorship election. The people must elect you. You must campaign. They must know your credit. But now people sit in government, select chairman. You destroy the country.
To talk to that about this election. Now,
yes.
Now we saw that in the bill too.
Yeah.
Looking at clause 28. And the National Assembly now says mode of electing candidates, nominating candidates. Now they've scrapped out I think indirect primaries.
Direct and indirect, and
it was that, but now say it's not going to be consensus and direct primaries. They don't want to involve the populace, the electorate, to choose who to represent them to as a candidate and all that. And that is one of the major things that the opposition staged out, worked out. And they addressed the president and said, why don't you allow parties to select, to nominate their candidate? Why should it be from the Abuja? The national body of the party should now choose and say, this is who would go, this is who would go. That who is qualified and the people want may not stand a chance.
No. When they say direct primaries or consensus, I think it doesn't really have too much of a harm, because
it's a party thing.
It is a party thing, and it is regulated by law. If the party cannot agree on a consensus, means everybody accepts it. Direct primary means all the party members in that particular constituency participate in the selection. Fine. Again, political parties must equally brace up, because it's just enough. I tell my friends in the parties, including where I belong to, I mean, it is not enough to criticize INEC. Are parties really democratic in Nigeria? Where is internal democracy? It's a serious problem. Now we're talking about INEC, we're talking about National Assembly. Let parties equally examine themselves. How many parties in Nigeria have internal democracy? So candidates are just selected by one man, and somebody is boasting in Port Harcourt, I brought everybody. Is that a democracy? For you to be a candidate of a political party, the people in that particular constituency must all come together to nominate you as the candidate. So
based on credibility, because once you miss it at that primary level, you've already missed it. You have to be a candidate that is sellable.
Yeah, but the people know who they want, but with the process,
because election is local.
Election is local. So with the process, allow them to choose who they want. So again, if the National Assembly is trying to legislate on processes of internal of whatever, party election, there's something wrong in it. Let them make it as a law that parties must equally be democratic. It is not only a nigga who should be blaming. Who should be blaming political parties? They have a popular candidate who had won. Somebody dropped him or her and go and select another person. So to me, it is in order that the parties
must scrap out indirect family.
Yes, if you scrap that, there's nothing wrong in it. That's simply saying let all the party members come out and choose who they want. But do they have the credibility? Especially the ruling party. You know, if you see what the APC is doing, I'm sorry, they will tell you direct primary today, tomorrow indirect primaries. Why not stick to one?
Okay, we are pressed for time. Okay. For all these that has happened, the bill, you know, they had to pass it before, and they came to amend, and now they have something out, and probably Nigerians are not too happy with what they've seen this Tuesday. What does this portend for 2027 elections as we look forward to it?
Well, I don't think it's all over.
The implications.
I don't think it is all over. Nigerians still have a lot of role to play. Internal vigilance. Because I was telling my friend yesterday, even in electronic transmission, if you're not vigilant, they can still rig it.
Vigilance in what aspects? For
instance, if the presiding officer is in a polling unit and the figures have been tabulated, he decides to put another figure at the process of transmitting. Is that not rigging? If you're not vigilant, this party has scored 50, the other one has scored 10. The one that scored 10 now raises it to 1,000. And you don't know he has had two or three other 00, and it transmits. Is that not rigging?
Well, it had been signed like by the presiding officer and the
mutilation.
Let me tell you,
by candidate and all that.
You are going to have the result tabulated on a paper.
Okay.
And from that paper, it will not be captured.
Okay.
Okay. Now, by the time he's captured it, he now decides to change the figure. And you are not vigilant. What happens? So each transmission is good, but
or even send
a different figure entirely.
A report that is not even signed by those.
So it can be manipulated. So the citizens should please not leave this into political parties. The business of democracy is not the business of political parties. It's the business of all the citizens. They should come out in high number, put at the polling unit, insist the writing is done, and on that day there will be network in all the polling unit. Let me tell you, Nigerians are not sleeping. There are people waiting, volunteers.
Because and of course, you've seen that right in Abuja. You've had people coming out to.
Of course, there will be. Yes, there will be network. There will be network. Because what they are saying now is that when there is no network. But there will be network.
You are sure that
I am sure. I am sure. I have worked in the telecommunication industry, so it is possible, and that people will ensure that there will be network. Even if they decide to shut down the entire system, there will be satellite network that will enable Nigerians to have a credible election. You see, let them stop deceiving themselves. Nigerians will not accept fraudulent election in 2027.
All right, Nigeria will not accept fraudulent election in 2027. Yes, Tosifo, we've been so glad to have you talk on this particular issue. And though the bill has been passed, but we're still looking forward to see what transpires ahead of the 2027 election, because every Nigerian is yearning for transparency in the electoral process, whereby they can go out and their vote will count. Thank you so much. Let's hope that next week you will still be part of the program as we come up with another interesting topic. Until then, do have a blessed day. Bye.